some major construction going on the street outside today. I was gonna film a chatty or get ready with me, but I think I'm just gonna have to do my makeup in silence. Go to a coffee shop to get a tiny bit of work done because I genuinely couldn't hear myself think whilst I was home. But this coffee shop I love. It's like Vietnamese and French. They have really nice little desserts of flavors that kind of reminds me of Indo, like pandan. My little coffee. I brought my book too and journal. I kind of look like a little boy right now. My jeans are really oversized too, I don't know if you can see. They're from Jean Erica. Ballet flats are from ABC. This knit is one of my favorites. It's quite plain, navy from Sir Paris, but I like that it has a little slit here which can show off if you're wearing a bracelet or a watch. Kind of just subtle detail, but makes a little bit of a difference. Bag, I've been using this nearly every single day. It's Hermes, but I got it on auction, which has been my favorite thing to do, is buying vintage pieces at auction houses, just because you can get a much better deal. And I find all the vintage stores in Paris are so expensive. I really never have recommendations for people whenever they ask me, because I don't buy things in person here. If I'm searching for something specific, I just think it's easier to look on Vintage Vestiaire or auction houses. But this is, I think it's called the Victoria style. I don't know what size it is, but it fits so much in it. I threw everything in. I have two sweet things in my mailbox in addition. A Paris review. I'm excited to open this up. And a letter from my friend in Ireland. I sent her a little care package for, it wasn't for her birthday, it was a very late Christmas present. And she just sent me a letter. This is so wet. It's Dublin. Smiling so big. Need to reply to her ASAP. Let's bring back writing letters. I'm gonna go back to the framer this afternoon because I feel like I've decided on what kind of frame and style I want for my piece. I'm gonna get something here. Well, I bought it already on auction, but I've been waiting a bit too long. Honestly, the apartment process has been way longer than I anticipated. I moved in like nearly 3 years ago, and I have definitely been very slow at it, which is because I do get overwhelmed and get decision fatigue, which is something I need to take more responsibility about and just be better at. It will come with time, and secondly, as everything does when you get older or you get into a new season of your life, I feel like my taste and what I want this space to be has changed and developed over different periods. So it has definitely taken a lot longer to finish this place than what I expected it to be, but I'm happy with all the decisions that I have now come to. I'm just heating up some leftovers. I'm not hungry, but I feel like I should eat. You know what I mean? A little pop of bread. Yesterday was just a little vlogging fail that did not go well. Don't know what they were doing outside in the street, but it went on until 10 p.m, which I swear is not allowed in France. It's fine. This morning I woke up and it's been quiet so far, so what was I filming? Okay, I went to the framer. I'm very excited for it to be ready. I think it's going to take like 15 days. I don't want something too modern. There was this really cute, almost like rope engraved frame, but I think it was a bit too thin. Settled on this like scuffed black thicker wood. We'll see it whenever it arrives, but they were really lovely there. I also finished the book I was reading yesterday, 20 Fragments of a Ravenous Youth by Xiaolu Guo. Really beautiful cover, isn't it? Did I get sucked into it by the cover? Maybe. These are the vintage Penguin Random House editions, and they use portraits by female photographers. I think Otessa, My Year of Rest and Relaxation. What else have I read? Jane Eyre. Kind of gives me similar vibes to my Year of Rest and Relaxation, in the way that the narrator is quite apathetic to her life and her outcomes. I haven't read My Year of Relaxation in such a long time. The title is very fitting. It is quite a sparse read. It is made up of these 20 seemingly random, banal moments of a girl's early 20s, but through these different snippets it does paint a picture of the disillusionment and hardships of being a young modern woman in contemporary China. I think because it is quite sparse and made up of these fleeting moments, I never quite got so attached to the narrator. It follows Fen Wang, who leaves behind her sweet potato farming family in search of a better life in Beijing, where she starts to find odd jobs as film extra. Never seems to quite make it. At one point she thinks that she should go into script writing, and then she's confronted by people telling her that no one wants to read stories written by women. I was a little bit indifferent to this book. What I did like about it is the idea of it as like a writing exercise. I think if you're wanting to practice some creative writing, the idea of picking 20 fragments from a couple of years of your life and writing them out as if you were sort of making a novel and seeing what story is formed from them, it's quite an interesting idea, and it is a quick read, so if you need something to kind of get you through a flight or a commute, I would pick this up. Before I start my day, I did one morning page. Not morning pages, just one. I felt like I had nothing else to say, but I do want to write out my journal prompts for the end of Q1, which feels wild that we're already nearly at the end of March. Don't know where she went, but we're just accepting it as it is. I'm gonna take this time to reflect on how it went and plan for the next quarter, because I like to split up my sort of yearly goals and intentions into these quarters, because it is harder to picture yourself in 1 year's time. Like so much can change. It makes it much more manageable for me to break down my goals into either like monthly or quarterly intentions. I dug up my old journal to see what my Q1 goals and Q2 goals were, to get a little reminder, and I'm going to write out the ones that I achieved and the ones that I didn't. Not because I'm trying to make myself feel bad and try to make myself feel guilty for not hitting certain things. That's not why we're doing this. I think it's just good to be honest with yourself, to figure out why something was working and why another thing wasn't, because then you get a better understanding of yourself and how you work in order to move forward into the next quarter. So for example, say you realize, oh, I was able to do 2 gym classes per week because I was going with my friend. I had that like accountability of another person. Maybe for other things in your life, like if you're trying to read a certain number of books in that quarter, you can ask a friend or a family member who also likes to read to just be like, text me whenever you're starting a new book, or send me a photo of your book when you finish. I also like to reflect on just generally how I was feeling that quarter. Maybe that means I have to go back through my journal and read certain entries to get a reminder of if I was, feeling low or distracted, not motivated, not energized, or maybe there were days where I was feeling a lot more positive, and try to recognize like what helped me feel that way. Waking up and having a good routine. Was it seeing a certain person who was really igniting your spark and making you feel inspired? Are there people that you want to surround yourself with more and people you want to surround yourself with less? Because at the end of the day, you're a product of the people you surround yourself with. And then the last thing that I'm gonna do for Q1 is reflect on, where did my focus go? Like, where was I spending my free time, or when I got distracted, what was I doing? And if it's things you don't necessarily want to carry on or make into a habit, then how can you change that? What are other alternatives to that? For Q2, I'm gonna go over the goals that I initially wrote out at the start of the year, see which ones still align with me, because also we change, people change, and some of them might not be things that I necessarily want to focus on, or I just think aren't really feasible at this moment. Maybe I can push it back. Then I'm gonna do a little bit of scripting where I write in the present tense at the end of Q2. So like at the end of June, which will be my birthday. It's a very strong form of manifestation that I haven't practiced in a long time. I think my head kind of got to the better of me, where I would start doing it. I'd be like, oh, this feels cheesy, it doesn't feel real, whatever, but no one's gonna read it apart from you. It's more just affirming certain things into your subconscious, so you already feel like you are a successful and worthy person of the things that you want in life. I'm gonna finish getting ready. I need to put some trousers on, but this is one of my favorite jumpers. It's from Nothing Written. They do really good, just basic knits, and I love the color of this brown. Really good shade. I'm not sure if I'm gonna overheat outside. I don't think it's actually that warm. I think it just feels warm in my apartment, but I think it's still like 14-15 degrees. But I might cycle, going to the Grand Palais to my first ever equestrian show, the So Hermes. Hermes kindly invited me, but they're doing a little press brunch. I don't really know what to expect. I used to be such a horse girl growing up. I never had a horse. We didn't have those kind of like funds or land. I lived in Belfast, East Belfast. There were no horses in people's gardens. But I was obsessed with all these like horse books. There was this one series, I can't remember what specifically. I was like talking at a brand dinner about it to another English girl, because it must have been like a British thing. But basically in the story, the girl has a pony, and at nighttime it turns into a unicorn, and they go on adventures. And I remember being so obsessed and completely believed that that was what happened to horses, and I just wanted one so bad. And I wanted to have a unicorn friend, and maybe, you know, in another life I would have been a fully fledged horse girl riding. I hear an orchestra, I hear a big band.